right, it's 3 o'clock. We're still missing Evan and David.
And Evan and Dan and David.
And Dan has chosen not to attend the meeting, so we won't be expecting him. Hopefully the other two will.
Maybe.
Oh, here comes Evan. Okay.
I'll pass that around. We ready?
I think we're all settled and ready.
I'm going to make a motion to move item 5B to the first time on the agenda, just simply because we're paying someone to sit here that doesn't need to sit here any longer than they have to.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, so we, according to 1
All in favor.
MRSA 406.
All in favor?
A, all in favor of the motion?
Item 6, not 5B.
All right. So
Yeah.
we will move into.
Item 6.
Yes.
There was a motion to move ahead.
5B.
Right,
5B.
it's
5B.
actually 6, right? Or
Which is
not?
standards of
No,
conduct.
it's 5B.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 5B,
5B,
which is the standard conduct
yeah,
policy,
yeah.
which we voted on. Now I'll make a motion to enter into executive session for that discussion under 4056E.
Okay.
Second.
Now another vote. Okay.
All those in favor? I don't think we have
Yeah,
to.
we-
Okay. That's okay. So we're going to move into executive session.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Evan.
Evan,
Thank you.
You
All
can
right.
stay. Just, and second motion to enter executive session in accordance with 1 MRSA 4056A.
Second.
Seconded by Kevin. All those in favor? Okay. So we have entered executive session now. 424. Thank you.
I don't need to collect the executive session materials, but I always suggest people turn them over or
I
otherwise
would
collect them.
just assume get rid of them.
Yeah, I just soon pass them to whoever in the end.
Here, let's
She-
stack them.
She
I can
can,
recycle
she
them,
can,
or I can shred them.
you can shred them.
Shred them.
Yeah, all right.
Put them in the shredder.
I don't need it.
I don't want the whole stack.
Mel, do you want me to stay just for the votes? And
No,
then-
you don't need to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, throw in there.
Thank you.
All right, so we are still on the standard policy, conduct policy agenda item. And the first order of business after our executive session is to take a non-binding vote on just cause to determine that trustee Dan Bilodeau has violated LawPAC standard of conduct by committing a knowing willful violation of LawPAC permit that had expired in corresponding LawPAC regulations. So all those in favor of that, pardon, do we need a motion?
It's a non-binding
No,
vote.
it's
You're
just
just-
a non-binding vote.
Yeah.
So all those in favor of stating that Dan has violated the standard of conduct, please raise your hand. And that's a unanimous. As a result of that vote, I'll take a non-binding vote on applicable penalty for the violation. And the wording for that penalty would be the final warning such as to, this final warning is such to inform Mr. Bilodeau that any further or additional violation of the standard of conduct, which includes any violation of LawPAC rules or regulations or permits, may result in additional discipline up to and including removal. Based on that wording, let's have a non-binding vote of all those in favor of that wording. All those that are opposed. All right, 2. All right, thank you. So under
Just
this,
for the record, can you explain why there were non-binding votes? Because you.
I was going to say that right
Okay,
now.
sorry.
Under the standard of conduct policy, it is the president's sole responsibility to determine the violation, whether a violation of the standard of conduct policy has occurred and what the appropriate, if so, what the appropriate action will be. And it was my desire to get have a discussion with the commissioners prior to making a decision and getting non-binding votes regarding that to inform my decision. So in light of my authority as president of the board to interpret the standard of conduct policy in all respects, I hereby determine that Trustee Bilodeau did violate the standard of conduct policy by committing a knowing and willful violation of a LawPac permit that had expired in corresponding LawPac regulations. In respect to the appropriate discipline, I find that there will be just cause to warn Trustee Bilodeau as a result of his knowing and willful conduct. And the warning will be as stated. The final warning is to inform Mr. Bilodeau that such that any further or additional violation of the standard of conduct, which includes any violation of LawPac rules or regulations or permits, may result in additional discipline up to and including removal. Pursuant to the standard of conduct policy, my interpretation is final. I think we're done with that agenda item, and we can now move on to
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
all those in favor. Move on to the water quality and watershed report.
All right, I'll try to go through this pretty quickly. I've already had a couple questions about ice in. That date was January 13th. The lake is nice and snow covered now. I put in the report that's in your packet a little overview between the annual numbers for 2024 and 2023. You see that the lake temperature increased a little bit from last year. Of course, we had lower lake elevation levels. The drought, turbidity was relatively the same, but our phosphorus really dropped from the year before, which was good to see. Moving on from water quality, I wanted to give you all an update that we've gotten through the hiring process for the Watershed Outreach Coordinator. And earlier this month, our final candidate accepted the offer. So she will start either Monday, March 3rd or February 28th. We're still working that out. Really excited to have her on board. Her name is Phoebe Hopkins. I put together an annual work plan for her and an onboarding plan. So feeling good about that at the beginning of March. Again, her position will have a pretty strong focus on that septic inspection program and just doing some coordination, providing landowner engagement with that. And then we have lots of other good things planned for the year. Another thing to announce is that I had applied and was awarded service of a shore corps steward through Maine Conservation Corps. That position is funded through NOAA. It is 100% funding aside from
Maybe.
beside indirect and project. Yes, I know. We've been going back and forth for weeks. So far, so good. I do daily check-ins about the funding. The state is trying to move through very quickly to make sure that that funding's secured. NOAA feels pretty good about it too. Anyway, so where we're at in that process right now is that they have awarded us a full-time steward for 1 year, and that individual would start on May 27th and continue through the following May. The application period for the stewards closes February 24th, so we will do interviews mid-March and make an offer on March 24th.
What is the role of that?
Yeah, so this program is designed specifically for water quality and minimizing erosion. And they selected 4 sites in the state, and 2 were coastal and 2 were freshwater. So it was us and Seven Lakes Alliance that were awarded stewards. They'll also focus on outreach and education, landowner engagement, and they'll also do some project assistance. So they'll be offered the position in March, but in April they'll go through a full training with a non-point source training center. So they will be certified, they'll be able to be on site. If we have our Blanchard Pond project that I'll talk about in a minute here that they'll be able to be on site for, and another project that we're looking at. So they'll get to do all sorts of little things, and for those of you who aren't aware of like AmeriCorps positions, this is a service position, so this person is essentially receiving a stipend just to volunteer their time and gain good experience. So I think I laid out a pretty good application and pretty good service plan for them, so I'm pretty excited to have them come aboard.
This program's brand new, right?
Yes, this program under Conservation Corps is brand new. This is a pilot year. I think they want to pilot it for 2 years, so they'll try to do 100% funding for 2 years in a row. And yeah, they're still, we'll see how that first year goes.
Well, thank you for putting in the application.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
I wanted to give an update on the Blanchard Brook Watershed Improvement Project as well. We had still been on a search for a DEP certified contractor. So we recently updated that. I'm still working with the contractor on estimates. We needed a DOT permit for that project, and DOT would like us to have landowner easements for access to their properties rather than just permissions. So I have drafted an easement for access and maintenance for those properties. Once we secure the contractor and we just make sure we're still on track with DEP, I will start working with landowners. There's only one primary landowner that we really need to work with on this, because most of that project will run through their property, and it's going to be a pretty good opportunity, I think. That property is 35 acres on Lakeshore Drive, and it does not have any easements. So I am hoping that this conversation about an access easement can open up the conversation in the future for a permanent protection of the rest of the property. So I think that will be a really good opportunity. So more to come on that as we finalize everything.
Question?
Just a quick question, pardon my ignorance, but where exactly is Blanchard Brook?
That is right off of Route 4 above Lakeshore Drive. Blanchard Pond drains under Route 4.
Behind
And-
Wallingford's. That's
For equipment?
Blanchard Road, yeah.
Okay, so does it come off
That's
of
the-
Mount Guile and go that way, or
It's
it
pretty
goes
much
the other
the
way?
headwaters.
Yeah.
And it's towards the lake.
Okay,
Towards the lake there.
yeah, it just, it's not a term I'd heard before, and I lived in that area my whole life, so that's okay.
Yeah. I am also working with Ty and Bond to put together a project for a pretty significant chunk of erosion on the lake near Salmon Point. It is over a 100-foot stretch of erosion that's pretty significant, and you can see all the sediment pooling in the lake, especially when we have big wind events. They hope to have a proposal next week for that, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, if we are able to secure a permit for that for this year, I hope to have that Shore Corps steward involved a little bit, and we will also be able to potentially apply for, again, like depending on all of the funding, for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund for non-point source, that would be an applicable project. So looking forward to see what they come back with. I expect that this will be a multi-phase project because it is so significant, and there are actual two major chunks there, and we have to work on access, getting equipment back in there. So we'll see what they come up with. And in the packet, I included the newsletter that I put together at the end of the year. When we have the outreach individual begin, we're going to discuss frequency of newsletters and content and methods for sending those out. So I hope that you can look forward to having more information about what we're doing in the watershed on a regular basis once she's here, and we can work together on getting those out. So I just wanted to note that. I will save what I have to say on the septic program stuff later, and let you read my notes just on account of time. So thank you. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Danielle. So we'll move on to the clerk and staff reports. Mike, do you have any?
I did have one thing I just wanted to alert the commissioners to. I will forward you all a copy of this letter tomorrow. Back in 2021, I don't know if some of you may remember this, there was a complaint filed with the Board of Professional Licensed Engineers against the commission for the clerk's work for the commission. This was something that was brought forward by Commissioner Bilodeau. He filed this complaint with the Board of Licensure. They did request information from the commission. We worked with Skelton, Taylor, and Abbott. We did pull together a big response to this. It was several hundred pages. Included interviews and lots of background information. The investigator that was looking into the complaint after the information was submitted from the commission actually passed away. And this has basically been sitting in limbo since 2021. Well, they did issue a letter. I just got it the other day, and they're dismissing the claim without merit. So I will forward that to all commissioners, but it was addressed to the commission. We received it at the district. So.
Did you want me to email that?
Yeah, we got it.
Oh, I did email it already. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't think I had sent it
It was
yet.
like, no, there was no violation of the engineering standards.
Right,
And if
right.
we felt it was an issue, it was a political issue.
Okay,
they would
I'm
have
sorry.
it,
I guess
right?
I-
Basically, yeah.
I
You're
didn't
so
realize
efficient,
that.
you did it without.
You didn't even
There's been a lot
realize.
going on. So, anyways, I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that and that you received a copy of it. So.
I thought, I'm glad you explained, because I was thinking there was another complaint, not the one from that.
Yeah, I think
I'm familiar
this,
with that.
this was filed in 21.
Yeah,
We sent our
yeah.
response in
I
2022.
remember all
So
that.
this has been sitting up on their
I guess I
desk
just
since
forgot we
2022.
never responded.
Yeah, I'm
Couple years
acutely,
among friends.
I remember this quite
Yeah,
well
right.
because there was a point at which we had no clerks, and
Wasn't long after
that
this
was
the
not
clerks
fun.
the clerks
I had
did
to, like,
resign not long.
to be like,
long
I
after
guess I'm
that.
putting the agenda together myself. You know, but Erica was very good about helping me, but that was rough. That was like, I was just like, what the heck?
Yeah, I'll teach you.
Yeah, well, that's what
Well, I'm
happens.
glad we
yeah.
That's all I had
finally
for this
got-
time.
We finally got that settled. one way or
Yes.
the other. Thank you. Erica?
Yep, I just have one thing too. It's an update on purchasing the parcel of land that's between Maple Hill Road and Lakeshore Drive. I'll just read this email to you. So it's from the realtor, who's also named Amy Landry. It says the seller of 115 Maple Hill is running into a delay for closing due to a home equity loan he took out last April on his home. The bank requires that he not make any changes to the property, i.e. split the land, until it has been 1 year. Would you be willing to wait until April 2025 for the closing? To which I responded, yes. I did respond yes. So that's just the update for that. It'll
So
be
April?
Yep.
That's a long time. I mean, 3 years for a thing from the state, I mean, that's ain't bad.
That's all I had.
Well, I think waiting is probably great,
Yeah.
because if we hadn't, it's just going on, you know, like,
That's right.
at least it's locked in.
All right, moving on to old business, the septic inspection program update. Danielle?
So, that septic inspection program draft is in your packet. And, we finally, as a committee, had put that together. I got feedback from the city and they helped kind of finalize some of the language in it. And most of the content for that is in there. It's something that we talked about at our last meeting. The only components of that would need to be updated to launch it would be going through an RFQ process to have a list of qualified inspectors and then determining prices and little pieces of information that are highlighted in the packet. So that's where that stands. Just backing up a little bit, the city does plan early next week to send out to homeowners who are required to comply with the ordinance in this first phase. Their actual first notifications to those individuals are going out next week. I put together a one-page summary notice for this program to go out with their packets, to be enclosed with that. So let's see. So the next step is that upon approval of this program, we'd go through the RFQ process. Upon completion of that, we would finalize it with the information that I said that was in there to be finalized. And a letter would also be drafted to go out with, to go out again to all of those homeowners to actually go through the language and the benefits to them and the little pieces, and provide contact information, the list of vendors, and how they would submit for reimbursement. All the little pieces would be in that letter. Also, once Phoebe is here, we plan to set up an informational meeting with the city in collaboration. So that letter would include the information for that. So that's that. I am going to present information about this program at the Lake Association Symposium and the Lake Conference of Maine, which will both happen in June. A lot of other organizations have been really interested in this occurring and inspections being funded, and I know that there is another entity doing something similar, so people are finding it to be a really good program and they're really excited for us. So that's just an update on that and the actual program proposal itself, and I can answer any questions on that.
Just one comment about what was in the packet.
Mm-hmm.
The first item for the inspectors was about looking at the plan and the permits and stuff when they were built. I think you should also have in parentheses, if available, because there's a lot of the systems that are on Lake that are old enough that that people don't have those. And when we get into this once before, it's because it wasn't available, the inspector said, "I'm done here, you failed." And then I don't think that's right. I think I understand that if it's there, that's great, that gives them a roadmap to do it, but just saying, well, you don't have it, so you're done, that is inappropriate, in my opinion. That's just me, having lived through it.
I agree. They get paid to do the inspection,
Yeah, do the inspection, so.
Other questions about the program as written? Comments?
Well, I know Danielle's put a lot of
Yeah,
work
I
into
gotta
it.
say, it looks a lot different than the first draft.
Having seen the drafts come back and forth,
Yeah,
so first kudos there.
Well done, well done.
yeah.
The RFQ.
What page are you on?
I'm on page
6 of the packet.
and page 5 of
Page five?
Document.
the.
Okay.
So the inspections of the XX. My question isn't really about the language itself. It's about what is the process that's gonna be used to determine what that amount is? And does, like, do commissioners wanna just like say, listen, staff, like, take the mean of the top 5 or something like that? Or do we wanna have oversight of that? Do we just wanna throw it out? If we're throwing out to you, what's the methodology you plan on using?
I do think that was the discussion in the last meeting that everyone casually agreed on. It was just averaging what came back, maybe removing any outliers, like if something was like really low and seemed a lot. But, yeah. And if it doesn't look, if we go that route and the average doesn't actually look like it makes sense, maybe we can talk about that then.
Is everyone in agreement with that process? Yeah, that sounds fine to me as well. Okay,
Well, we carried a certain number and a certain cost in our budget, so
right.
if we could
Yeah.
stay in line with that would be very helpful. But
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
utilities are-
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I
Let's
think,
cover up some more cash.
and the other one is that expectation, I mean, if just because somebody wants to do an inspection, they need to apply. I mean, we're not gonna just show up. And I think that messaging out there is gonna be great. Get out there and say, if you wanna be a part of this, but don't, it's kinda like a lot of other programs, don't just go, give us a receipt.
Right, you need to.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big message out there for
Yeah,
it.
Well, we
and I
know-
think that's specified.
We know how
It
many,
is.
we know how many septics are gonna be inspected, you know, plus or
Roughly,
minus.
yeah.
A handful
Right.
in the first year, so I guess I would just ask that whatever you guys come up with, that you not exceed the amount.
Don't run out
Yeah.
of money.
Tracy, if
we
it
really
turns out that
appreciate the
inspections cost more than we think, well, that's, I'm sorry, you know. I guess-
We're flush with cash, we're good, right?
Well, without,
Flush with cash, right?
Yeah.
without looking at this whole thing again, is there someplace in here
reports
that says we will only reimburse for programs that, that have gone through the process?
Yes.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
Okay,
It
I
does.
figured it said that, but just want to make sure.
No, Danielle did a very good job
Yes.
covering that in more than one place, actually.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
This is that public outreach and notice and getting out there, because most people aren't gonna read this. They're gonna think, we got free money, and they're gonna apply, and then you gotta explain it to them. So I think
Right.
that first
Yeah,
outreach.
but it's like
and
you
having-
said, if you told your neighbor and he's like, oh, I did, and then I'm just gonna get it done, and then show up at City Hall
Yeah.
or wherever and get pieces, right?
Right, we do anticipate getting, a lot of inquiries once this initial one pager goes out with the city. So I think that'll be the first layer of just announcing that it's coming. And then the city is providing us with the mailing, the same batch of people they're sending this to, we'll get that first landowner letter from us. That goes through specifics and will say, come to this meeting, call us at this number, let's talk about it. So hopefully we can really catch people and they're not just saying, here's a receipt, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, great job. Well done.
I would ask, if you guys find that you are getting people like that, and they're getting upset, I would ask that we discuss a process that we could give the staff to say, I understand your concerns, however, you need to speak at a commission meeting for the following reasons, because there's no reason, if people are climbing up here today about a policy that we did, we need to have a way to direct them back here, instead of
Yes.
yelling at you guys over the phone, so.
Yeah.
That's good,
But,
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give them a path
The
and stop, not
commissioners
just
meet
bang them
on
on your
this.
door.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing that I could see is that if you had there was a lot of real estate movement, there might be a number of people that might be in an area that might not necessarily be on the first list,
Right.
but had just had it done, and would be looking for some sort of reimbursement because he had it done, to avoid having it done next year again. I don't know how we'd manage that, but I could see that happening, although I don't think there's huge amounts of property being sold around the lake, but there's always some.
Well, Daniel did a good job
There is-
capturing that
it's
in the
captured in the
policy. The idea that it's one time within a 5-year period.
Right.
If it's
If you had it
because
done-
it's irregular, or it's because of point of sale,
if it's been done by 20.
Right, but we're gonna put out 50 notices for the 50 this year,
Yeah,
but they've got 2 neighbors that are not for the second year, but they just had it done, so those could come back into the first year request.
it's specified that it has to be paid during the year of their requirement.
Again, I will have the list of anyone who was notified, and I'll still be able to work with the people who are not required to do it in that cycle and have the right conversations with them. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I just,
Yeah,
I
there,
mean,
yeah.
I think it could be oversubscribed one year versus the other easily.
Well, Danielle handled that pretty well,
Yeah, it's
the
on
way,
page-
Yeah,
It's on that 26.
It's there, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking from the standpoint of, you know,
People who don't
people
understand.
that don't
well, the people that
understand.
don't understand are just gonna come here and yell at us, and we're gonna say, well, we adopted a policy that says like, you know, you are free to do it whenever you want, but unfortunately,
But
you're
I
gonna have to
don't
wait
have to pay
until your year before we reimburse you.
Yeah, that's fine.
They come yell at us, and no big deal.
Come back. and
Used to
vote
it.
once.
I've been yelled at a lot before.
Yeah. Just this week.
Kind of why I like this board, is I don't get yelled at.
That'll change.
Change that.
Cool.
All right, based on, we need to make a approval of the policy. I saw maybe that we might want to add, if available, to the policy that Bruce brought up. That's not in there currently, but with that addition, is there a motion to approve the septic program?
So,
Yes. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve this, oh,
Kevin
I'm
did.
sorry.
You already
you can
did.
second.
Kevin
I know, but did you capture the,
She acknowledged she's gonna put it in. Close enough.
okay,
I trust her.
all right. I was gonna say, I would like it captured that, like, and the blank spaces will, that the amount will be handled by, because
Yeah.
we're just adopting this as written, not.
Yep.
Will be, yeah, go ahead.
I
Okay,
rescind, go for it.
what?
I
He
rescind
rescinded
mine.
his motion.
Okay, all right, I make a motion to accept the septic system, a policy to be amended on page 4, first bulleted item, under property owners can expect the following elements to be included in an inspection to read: review the system permit design and installation records, including system age, when available, and under the condition that staff develop an amount for the inspection reimbursement following their RFQ process.
Kevin.
Second.
I just,
Oh, no. I was gonna vote against it, just for fun.
Oh, you can vote against it.
Any discussion?
Can you repeat that for me?
I can, yeah.
Good job.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
All right.
Unanimous approval of the
Good job.
program. Thank you, Danielle, for that program. So, we're on to new business, and we're on to officer appointments. So annually, we are required to nominate and vote on chair, vice chair, and secretary for LawPAC. So we are in that position again, and so I will open the floor to nominations for chair first.
I move we nominate, or my nomination is Camille Parrish. I think you've done an excellent job and appreciate, especially this last meeting, how you lead and the tone of these meetings.
Okay.
So you have my nomination.
Any additional nominations for chair? Then let's take a vote. All those in favor? And I'm abstaining. Thank you for that vote of confidence, and thank you, Kevin, for those words. It's been a trying couple of months as chair. Next, we need to move on to nomination for vice chair. And I received notification that Glenn is not going to
You sticking around?
sticking around with the town of Buckfield as the representative, so he will not be up for nomination. But others are available, commissioners, to be nominated or self-nominate for vice chair.
I want to nominate Kevin Guyan for vice chair.
Any other nominations or self-nominations?
I'm okay with that.
All those in favor of Kevin as vice chair?
don't abstain.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, maybe I'll stick around then. Oh. I'm not
Thank
gonna
you,
be on
Kevin, for your
the-
willingness to take on the vice
Absolutely,
chair.
thank you.
And finally, secretary, this past year it's been Amy. Are there any
Yeah.
nominations for secretary?
I nominate Amy.
You accept?
I do.
Any other nominations? So, all those in favor of Amy? Amy
Oh, I
Lloyd?
can't vote.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You can vote for
I'm
yourself.
not going to. I'm so good.
Great, thank you all for that. Next, we move into public comment. Does anyone from the public have any comments?
Yes, I have a couple of things. Stephen Beal, 575 Johnson Road in Auburn. First, to respond to a point that Bruce brought up a few moments ago, the present Auburn ordinance requires that the inspectors determine if the system under inspection meets the design standards, and if they are available, and that if there is no set of standards or prints or other documentation of the creation of the system, that the inspector is required to determine if it's functioning as constructed, which is intended to cover that, because we recognized when working on that ordinance that there were going to be a lot of the systems that are so old that they were built in an era when you ran the pipe out back, found a few concrete blocks and called it good. The other point I want to make is I hate to be a wet blanket in an important matter like this private executive session and the violation of the standards that you were working on, but I think that when Glenn made his motion to go into executive session, it was specific to paragraph 5B being taken out of context or out of order and moved up to the first of the agenda. And I don't believe that his motion, as stated, included the actual item number 6, the executive session itself. And that may seem like extremely bothersome reading of the wording, but I think that's what happened. And I don't want to see the group adopt a very important resolution in the improper manner.
So you are correct, I did, what I stated was to go first, was what I wanted to go first.
That's right.
Then there was a vote to go into executive session, which quoted improperly. We came back out, which you'll see in the tape, for 15 seconds to go in under the right heading.
The public was not notified of that.
I understand.
They should have come back out of executive session, called the public back in.
I appreciate that. I'm saying it's like the correction was, it was.
I understand the explanation, which also is logical, but I don't believe it's correct.
We also had legal counsel here advising of us to correct our process in the minutes, and we followed. So,
You have my view that it was not correctly done,
no, I
and
appreciate
I
it.
want you to do this correctly.
Absolutely, appreciate it.
Any additional comments from the public? All right, our next meeting, regular scheduled meeting is April 9th. And there's a tentative meeting date, should it be needed, of March 12th for a special meeting.
Are you at liberty to discuss why we have it, or just is tentatively there?
It's just tentative, it's not,
We scheduled just in case.
We
we didn't-
just-
I know they're in there, yeah.
they're just there, but they have to be called, you know,
No, I think
for a specific reason.
Quite often.
So is there a motion to adjourn? Did you have further comments first?
I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
can we don't have a procedure necessarily for specifically doing this, I don't think, but can we place on a future agenda within the next 3 meetings, when it fits in accordance with the agendas you guys are doing, a discussion of policies, specifically the
Standard of conduct.
standard of conduct?
I have that, on my notes. Thank you for, yep, yes. Good.
I apologize.
No problem. No problem.
Yep.
Well, I agree
All
to
right.
adjourn.
I think, you second that, all those in favor? Thank you all for your commitment and time.
Thank you.